Hi there, it's Natasha and thank you so much for joining me today. Today I have a really quick, fun and easy card to share with you guys. I purchased a stamp set that I had been looking at for ages and I just knew that this was what I wanted to do with it as soon as I saw it. So I am starting off here. I have a piece of Tim Holtz watercolor paper. It's the only watercolor paper that I use, and I am cutting this down to be 3 3/4 by 5 inches, and that will leave a really nice border for me. Then I also have some of the Gina Masking Magic. If I am using any wet medium, wet inks, watercolors, anything like that, then this is my go-to masking paper because it does not bleed through, it does not leak, it is perfect for masking. And all I'm going to do is cut 1/4 of an inch, a couple of strips 1/4 of an inch wide, and you can do any width, it doesn't matter, I just wanted to make them the same. Then I roughly wanted to find the center of the card panel, and so I'm going to make a cross going down the center of both sides, both directions, and then this is just purely so that I can roughly get my masking paper in the right place. If you have a grid background or something, then you could probably just use that. You don't have to do the measuring, but I did want to get it right this time. Instead of eyeballing it, I wanted to make sure that I could get it pretty much straight. So I'm just going to take off the release paper and pop these down. And then after this, there are so many ways that you could do this next portion of the video. Today I am choosing to use sort of a watercolor technique, I guess. I am going to be using the Simon Hurley dye inks. These are water reactive. And I'm starting off with Shooting Star and later Gator, so basically a yellow and a green. I am popping a little bit down each on an acrylic block, and I'm going to use that basically like a little palette. I am using a water brush, just like to pop down a layer of water first, and then I am going to put green down one side and then blend it into the yellow. Now I just went through the inks that I had and I chose 8 colors that I wanted to blend together. Honestly, there was no rhyme or reason as to how I chose them. I had thought I might go dark to light of colors instead of blending 2 colors together. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, and anything would work. There are so many different variations that you could have of this. You could also have the card vertical instead of kind of horizontal like I am going to. This time I'm going to use Crown Me and Prom Queen, so basically a kind of darkish pink and a purple. And I like to put that base layer of water down first, and that just means that these blend really, really nicely. You could use oxides inks for these, distress oxides. You could use watercolors. You could use watercolor pencils and then add the water to them. You could use even alcohol markers, anything that you wanted to blend together. That would work perfectly fine. You could use gelatos. You could use anything, wax crayons, anything that you want to blend together would be absolutely fine. I mean, you could even do this using patterned paper and then have those 4 bits down in a similar pattern. I mean, so many different ways that you could do this, but I'm just showing you simply one today. This is going to be Guppy and Traffic Cones. So this is kind of an orange and a red, although there it looks like yellow and orange, but I promise they're pretty much orange and red. And then I was just deciding which quarter I wanted to do, but thought I better do this one down the bottom, otherwise it was a bit similar to the one that was beside it. So if you feel like the color that you have down is a little too dark, and I did it with pretty much all of these, I wanted it to be kind of bright but not super dark. So once I had got all of the color down, you'll often see me dab it off with a little tissue or a little paper towel just to get rid of some of that immediate really bright color and tone it down just a teeny bit. So not too much, but just a little bit. Last but not least is Clear Skies and Tropical Tango. This is like a mid-medium blue and then a sort of turquoisey kind of color, a bluey green color. And just add water first, and then this is going to be the very last one to blend. Now, if you were inspired by this video, once we get to the end of it and you want to recreate it or do something similar and you would love to show me, the best way that you are able to do that is to join our Facebook group or pop on over to our Facebook group. It is called Come Crafting with Natasha, and you can either use the link below in the description box below. You can use that link or just search it on Facebook, and that way you can post pictures and things so I can easily see the projects that you have been getting up to, because I absolutely love to see when you have been inspired by these videos, or just sort of the inspiration has hit and you create your own versions of these, or the same as mine, either. We have a very amazing supportive community over there, which we are really grateful to have. So now, once this is all dry, here is the stamp set that I ogled over for so long. This is called Old Oak Tree, and I love this gorgeous big tree right in the center, and I want it to go right there. Now, don't get me wrong, I am sure that you could draw this just as well also, but for me it is much easier to use a stamp. I love this one. I love the Woodware Craft Collection stamps. They are a really good price point, and that is important to me. So I'm going to take off the masking paper, and I get this really crisp, clean lines right in the center, and you'll see why I chose that measurement in just a little bit. Now, I was kind of looking at it and deciding whether it should go, which way up it should go, but I'm going to turn my little stamping platform to the side just because that's how the stamp is going to be orientated, and then decided that I would stick with the original way that I had it. So I'm going to pop the tree right down in the center. Now, there are lots of different things that are going to look fabulous here. If you did some wild flowers, wild grasses, some bottles, anything, a silhouette of anything is going to look absolutely gorgeous lined up in the middle here. So lots of different options if you have a look through your stash at home. Once I have my stamp all lined up, I close the lid. I have these sticky grids on the bottom, the sticky mats, so I don't need to use magnets or anything like that to hold down my piece that I'm stamping onto. I'm going to use some VersaFine Onyx black ink. This is a beautiful, dark, crisp stamping black ink, and I absolutely love it. I'm pretty sure I use it in every single video, every single card at least, and once I stamp it down, I'm going to give it some good pressure. This is watercolor paper, but I always use the smooth side of the watercolor paper. I have never ever used the bumpy side. That's kind of not the look I usually go for, but I love the smooth side of the Tim Holtz watercolor paper. I stamped this twice to get a really, really nice crisp black dark image, and sometimes if you need to re-ink your ink pad, then you might need to do it a couple of times, but if you've just re-inked it, then often you can do it just once. Now there's a little curve at the bottom of the tree here, and I wanted it to be nice and flat, so it kind of filled in the very bottom and came right to the bottom of my card front here. So all I'm using is a black fine line marker, and that way I can just fill in that very bottom piece. This is the Made For You stamp set, and out of this I'm using the little Thinking of You sentiment. This is just a really nice script and the perfect size to have a sentiment on the card, but sort of not take over the front of the card either. So I'm stamping it out a couple of times using the exact same black ink. Then I'm using my long 9.5 inch Tim Holtz scissors. These are what I always use to cut out, but you can use a paper trimmer, anything that works for you. And I'm just going to cut the sentiment pretty much short. I was thinking here whether I wanted to do anything with the edges, but I wanted to keep this really, really plain and simple because the focus is definitely the image and the background and all of those gorgeous colors behind the tree. I am going to use some matte medium to glue this down because I used all of those gorgeous watercolors on the front, and the watercolor cardstock is a little bit heavier than regular cardstock, so I'll use a nice strong glue that I can pop it down to. And then the reason that I chose the 1/4 of an inch for those strips is because that is how much border is going to be left all around my card, and I really like the look that it kind of looks almost seamless with the lines that go through the center as well. So just because I haven't given that ink much time to dry, I just put a piece of paper on top so that I didn't smudge the black ink. It is a pigment ink, so it stays wet a little bit longer than a normal dye ink. Then all I'm going to do, this is not going to have too much dimension at all, pop the sentiment straight down there at the bottom in the middle, and this finishes off a really, really simple card. Let me know your thoughts on this card today in the comment section down below, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks, bye!